over me, connecting over there, connecting over here. Hmm. Connecting. Everything's connecting. There we go. It's starting to come together. Good times. Fantastic. Glorious. Fancy even. Here, let me double check everything's streaming properly. I was using Rumble Studio, and this morning Rumble Studio was, well, having some difficulties. There we go. Let's give it just a minute or two for all of the hiccups and kinks to work themselves out. Rumble Studio. I use Rumble Studio because I stream into that, and then Rumble Studio live streams it to everywhere else all at the same time. And it was having, let's just say, an identity crisis this morning. It was not having a good time. I was having difficulties with the stream keys and on the ingest servers. It's a fun word to say, ingest server, and all sorts of problems. So let's just give it a minute, and let's let people trickle on in. We have an absolute metric ton of things to cover today. A couple of things we've been wanting to talk about for a few days now, and then of course some new stuff as well. Just all over the place. Let me check. We are up and live. We're live on X. We're live on YouTube. We are live on Rumble. And we're live on Locals. Oh my word. Oh my word, how is that even possible? I am Twitter-pated. I'm Twitter-pated. That's the only word that could be reasonably used in this instance. All right. First thing on the docket today, I think we're going to cover... Shoot. Let's do the Linux's Antifa story. How much Linux's Antifa story first. Let me bring this up here. So many things that we gotta cover. It's a bit ridiculous. Oh yeah. It was a song I just wrote for all of you. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. If anyone covers it, I expect royalties. Yeah, click on that. And boom, that one as well. Okay. Holy heavens. Holy heavens. Ay Dios mío, escúchame mucho. And other such things. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Parfait even. How's everyone doing today? So we're gonna power through these stories. Holy heavens! Local play wasn't working in Waterfox. I'm not sure what's up. Tux works in Brave. Interesting. Honestly, all right. Everything's looking good here. I'm getting a. Thank you. I try. Thank you, Jose. Says I have acceptable Spanish, Mr. Lunduke. Don't you mean acceptable Spanish, Senor Lunduke? That's how it goes. According to Rumble Studio, YouTube is having some difficulties. It was having degraded performance and whatnots. My connection up to Rumble Studio is working well. Rumble Studio is having trouble. Just to say this flat out, if you hit any issues where the audio and video get out of sync, something's happening, try refreshing the stream or even hop over to another place. We're live streaming on X, Locals, Rumble, and YouTube. So, if it's not working on one, hop over to another. All right, we're gonna get going with this. because we got way too many to go through today. We're going to start with the how much of Linux is Antifa, because holy heavens. Ooh, there we go. That's a good one. I'm going to go ahead and start plunking some of these things here. How much of Linux is Antifa? Spoiler, a fair bit. I'm just typing some stuff out there now. It's the right word I'm looking for here. You guys are looking at me type. Welcome to the Watch Lunduke Type for a Minute in Silence show. It's pretty engaging, I know. All right. This is going to be... I feel like this one, there's nothing... Yeah. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this. Where's my other thing? I need to find my other thing. There it is. Yeah, we'll start on a big old image of Mr. Trump himself. Yeah, baby. Just because that's gonna really annoy people. All right. There's that. Here's the terminal. There's that. Oh, that's all kitty wampus. That's good enough. All right, here we go. Now, as a quick reminder for those of you new to the live streams around here, how this works is pretty simple. At the very end of me recording this show, which you get to sit in on, the screen's going to go to this. And then I'm going to go end broadcast. But here's the crazy thing. The broadcast won't actually be ending. We will be continuing the live stream. That's just what I say at the end of the show. So don't turn off the live stream. All right, here we go. We're going to do this. There's been a problem throughout all of open source and Linux in particular for many years now, where things have become increasingly political. I mean, not just a little political, but extremely political, as in the leadership and primary contributors, and oftentimes even the executives at some of the companies related to open source have gone into very, very extremist politics to the point where they intentionally exclude people who are just average, normal people, centrists, slightly right-leaning people, or even left-leaning people, but who aren't left-leaning enough. And earlier today, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, or was this yesterday? This was a couple of hours ago. This was last night. Last night. It's been a long day. Last night, the President of the United States officially designated Antifa as a terrorist organization, as a major terrorist organization. He said, they quote, I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization. I will also strongly be recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, why are we talking about Antifa and it being a terrorist organization? Well, because quite frankly, throughout open source and Linux, those extremist politics that we've talked about have manifested themselves into people supporting Antifa. In fact, huge numbers of some of the most prominent people in Linux and open source are proudly members of Antifa. They wave the Antifa flag. They talk about being Antifa. They shout Antifa slogans. They scream them with huge amounts of vulgarities. And so that begs the question, how is Antifa officially being a terrorist organization, right? Officially, and that really means all Antifa organizations, officially being terrorist organizations. How is that going to impact outlets like, let's say, NixOS or Elementary OS or GNOME, all of whom, and many, many others, are proudly Antifa? How is this going to impact them from a legal standpoint? If they're Antifa and Antifa is a terrorist organization, doesn't that make them terrorist organizations, or at the very least, providing material support to terrorist organizations? And before I show you just some of their quotes and screenshots, just to make it very clear exactly what they say, Antifa is an organization. Rather, it is a series of organizations. Many people are out there right now saying, you can't declare Antifa a terrorist organization. It's just an idea. It means anti-fascist. What, you like fascists? Well, that means that you must be a bad guy. You're probably a Nazi. We should punch the Nazi, right? The Antifa logic is kind of going along those lines right now. People are actively trying to defend themselves for being Antifa by saying it's not an organization, it's an idea. However, as someone who's been specifically targeted by multiple Antifa chapters, including Rose City Antifa out in Oregon, I would like to point out a couple of things. Chapters of Antifa have, among other things, email addresses, social media accounts, physical locations, scheduled meetings, training sessions, equipment and equipment logs, membership lists, membership verification processes, online forums and chat rooms, and in many cases, fundraisers and merchandise. That is that is literally just everything you can possibly think of to define an organization. And these are organizations, right? There's no other way to look at it. You can't say Antifa is just an idea. It's an idea with contact information and physical meeting locations and physical addresses and PO boxes and selling merchandise and membership lists. Come on. That's an organization, right? These are organizations, and there's many Antifa organizations and chapters throughout the United States. And some of them are, very closely interwoven, and some of them are very loosely knit, but they are distinct organizations. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk for a minute about the overlap between Antifa and Linux specifically. We could get into this and it becoming a huge topic if we loop in all of open source. But let's specifically talk about Linux for the moment. Many of you will remember the NixOS purge. You guys remember the NixOS purge from last summer? This was when NixOS, the Linux distribution, packaging system, and all that sort of thing, they decided to commit what they called a purge. They used that word over and over again, of undesirables. They called it the Nazi purge, meaning, and Nazi in this case, not meaning actual Nazis. That meant anyone who was a centrist, anyone who was a conservative, anyone who was a public religious person, anyone who was not actively advocating for trans issues. Like, it was a very... Basically, anyone who wasn't an extreme leftist was declared a Nazi, and they committed a purge of them. So they kicked people out. They even kicked out the founder of NixOS. It was crazy. They wrote an abdication letter for him and forced him to sign it. It was the stupidest and weirdest thing. But many of the people within NixOS, including the one you see on the screen right now, this is a guy that goes by the name of Hexa, who is a member of the security team for NixOS, a member of the build infrastructure team for NixOS, and was a moderator for NixOS during the purge, regularly posts about how he is Antifa. He posts the Antifa flag and flies the Antifa flag, and he's not alone. A huge number of NixOS highest level contributors do the same thing. They fly the Antifa flag. In essence, NixOS is an Antifa Linux distribution. That's not criticizing its technical merits. I understand why someone would like NixOS from a technical and usability point of view. But the organization behind it is an Antifa sympathetic organization. So that's one Antifa Linux distro. Then there's Elementary OS, who regularly posts about Antifa related stuff and in support of Antifa. And when the dude who likes to wear dresses saw the president of the United States officially designating Antifa a terrorist organization, he responded to that by saying, "Welp, see you guys in prison, I guess," because he considers himself Antifa. And as far as I can tell, he considers Elementary OS, the Linux distribution, to be Antifa as well. And that's not even the worst of it. Realistically, the most intense version of this that I've seen is from GNOME, specifically the GNOME Foundation. If you go to gnome.org, they have an entire blog post up about how, quote, GNOME beep Nazis, GNOME is Antifa. That was written by one of their most prolific contributors, a person who writes a number of their release announcements. They make these big, pretty release announcements, look really nice, with big screenshots. They write like regular weekly reports of what's happening in GNOME, and this guy writes a lot of that stuff. He's kind of one of their spokespeople, and on the gnome.org website itself, he posted that GNOME is Antifa. Direct quote. Okay, well, when that happened, and that was some months back, I raised this issue to the GNOME Foundation. I'm like, are you guys sure you want to be identifying as Antifa? Now, obviously, the GNOME Foundation did not respond to me because GNOME Foundation. They did, however, hop all over social media to reinforce that, yes, they were agreeing with this. They were not deleting this. They were not taking it offline. And that was just how that was going to stay. Okay, so they're really doubling down that GNOME is Antifa. The most prominently used, by far, the most used desktop environment in the Linux world is GNOME, and their foundation, their legal foundation, is Antifa, by their words. Holy heavens. So what does that mean exactly? Right? Like, what exactly does that mean? And I don't know as yet. And this is just off the top of my head. I'm sitting down and I'm compiling a very large list of prominent individuals, open source organizations, big tech companies, and whatnot, who are making public statements about their support of Antifa or how they are part of Antifa. So if any of you see this sort of thing, across social media, forums, Matrix channels, IRC, Discord, websites, wherever you see it. Screenshot that puppy and get it over to me. There's a couple of ways you can contact me on that. You can go to lunduke.com. You can find my email address there, or you can just go over to X and send me a direct private message on X. Either way works just fine. But get that on over to me. I'm cataloging as much of that as possible because we need to document this stuff. And it's worth noting that a lot of times when prominent individuals within Linux and open source and big tech make these sorts of statements, there is a bit of blowback, right? When they come out and say something wild and crazy like, I am Antifa, there's blowback, and then they eventually delete those posts, right? Because they don't want to lose their jobs or something like that. Screenshot. You can't let them forget it, right? You can't let them bury that. If you see it in their forums, screenshot, send that on over. I'm cataloging all the screenshots, all the documentation around it, and I will be contacting a number of individuals, including law enforcement, related to it, because it's a terrorist organization. And if it's going to be a terrorist organization, well, heck, we're gonna treat it as such. Now, does that mean that you all should go out there and immediately stop using any software made by any of these people? That's up to you guys, man. That's totally up to you how you want to handle that. I'm not going to tell anyone what software to use or not to use. I'm not like these folks where, I have to force people to pass some sort of purity test in order to use or contribute to software. Use the software you want to use. But if leaders are out there in the open source world pushing terrorist propaganda, I'm gonna at the very least shine a big old spotlight on it. That's my power. That's all I can do is shine the spotlight on it, and I'm sure as heck going to do that. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers. Go over to lunduke.com. Look at that. It's all over there. Look at that beautiful webpage. Go to lunduke.com. Those of you listening to the podcast, you can't see the webpage, but it's great. You know what it looks like. You can listen and read and watch everything from the Lunduke Journal absolutely for free. Thanks to all the subscribers over at the Lunduke Journal, which you can find more information about how to become a subscriber, which is probably the best thing you can do in life, over at lunduke.com. Not the best thing. It's a top 10 for sure. And again, thank you to everyone for making the Lunduke Journal what it absolutely is. In fact, you know what? Thank you to GNOME and Elementary and NixOS and all of these other super Antifa organizations, because every single time these Antifa, pro-Antifa organizations have come out and they're like, don't talk to Lunduke, ban Lunduke, you can't say the word Lunduke or you'll get banned. Every time that happens, boom, subscriptions skyrocket. People flood into the Lunduke Journal. They're like, seriously? These unhinged, crazy people in open source are saying this stuff? And so they come on into the Lunduke Journal. Every single time they ignore the Lunduke Journal, the number of viewers goes up. Fantastic. Great. Do that job for me, GNOME Foundation. Continue ignoring me. Continue spouting your Antifa propaganda, and we'll just see how that goes for you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast. It's not the end of the broadcast. Don't turn it off. Don't go away. Don't go away. We're still chit-chatting. I got more shows to do, baby. Oh, man. I didn't get myself a drink this time. I'm getting thirsty. That's okay. I can grab a drink afterwards. I saw in the chat that someone was like, oh my gosh, Lunduke, you're misgendering the creator of Elementary OS. The creator of Elementary OS is a lady. You gotta say that he's a lady. He's not a lady. His name is Dan Foray. Daniel Foray. Daniel Foray is a dude. I met Daniel Foray several times. I went and had a lunch with Daniel Foray at least once at a conference. Dude. He's a dude. He looks like a dude. He sounds like a dude. He is a dude. His name is Daniel. He's a dude. Guaranteed. He's a dude. He's a dude. Now, I know that Daniel Foray does not want to appear like a dude. He doesn't like that he's a dude. He tries to change the fact that he's a dude. However, that's not physically possible to accomplish. So he's trying to do something that ain't going to work out too well. But that's just how that is. Am I misgendering him? No, he is misgendering himself if he says he's not a dude. If you call him a lady, you're misgendering him, and that's not very nice. He's a dude. Call a dude a dude. I mean, unless you're like really good buddies with someone, and you go up and like go, "What's up, lady?" You know what I mean? That's how that works. You're allowed to tease like your buddies and call them ladies. Like, "What's up, ladies?" That's fine. Is that misgendering? My hat's not on straight. Yes, it is, but it's also kind of funny, so it's fine. It's fine. Gosh. And you know what? Here's the other thing. And then we'll get back to the tech news. If you go up to a guy and you're like, "That dude is a dude. I know that dude's a dude. You can tell he's a dude. I can see his Adam's apple right there. That's a dude." And you call him a lady because he really feels like a lady. That's a mean thing to do to a person. I mean, if you're legitimately playing into someone else's deep, deep delusions and extraordinarily intense psychological problems and feeding into it and encouraging their psychological issues, that is a really mean thing to do to a person. Now, that doesn't mean that you're committing genocide because you are like, "No, you're a dude," and that's okay. It's okay to be a dude. That's fine. You're not committing genocide. Many people in the trans world like to say, "Oh, if you don't use my pronouns, you're committing trans genocide." No one needs to die here. And in fact, I'm not even saying we can't be friends. If a dude is like, "I'm so confused, I think I'm a lady," fine. We can still probably hang out. We can still go grab burgers together. It's fine. No one's gonna kill you. No one's gonna kick you out of projects or say you can't have a job. I'm just not gonna play into your delusions, dude, man. That's all it is. All right. All right, here we go. What else we got? Holy heavens, we got a whole bunch of stuff. Let me pull up the next one here. I got those done. Now what I really want to do, let's do the OpenSUSE one next, because holy heavens, I've been wanting to get this one covered for a little while now. There it is. That's what I wanted. All right, do I need to bring up this as well? Where's this? There it is. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we're gonna do the OpenSUSE story next, because otherwise it's going to be so long since that one started happening that we're going to have missed our opportunity. Where's my text here? I'm going to copy this. Copy. We're gonna just miss our chance to talk about it. So I'm gonna force the issue. We're gonna talk about this today. All right. Boom. Moving on up to the east side. To a deluxe apartment in the sky. Yeah, we're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. All right, here we are. You're welcome. You guys are gifting each other memberships in there. Look at that. Greg just gifted like 3 memberships in there. That's downright kind of you. We don't have any sort of goal here right now today because honestly, we just don't need it. But thank you, Greg. Massively appreciated. Oh shoot, I gotta mention this real quick here. Yeah, we're moving on now to the east side. We finally got a piece. I've got that stuck. I need to watch the Jeffersons. I just need to. I need to watch the Jeffersons. Okay. I'm gonna say this flat out. Yeah, we'll do a karaoke stream next. So the end of today is the last day that lifetime subscriptions are $200. It's starting at midnight tonight in whatever time zone you're in. So base it on your clock. Basically, I get up tomorrow morning and I change the website. Lifetime subscription goes up to $300. And we're not doing sales anymore. So if that's the best price, right? So if you want the good price, go ahead and grab one. There's zero pressure around it. I'm not going to be sending out any additional reminders. I feel like I sent out like 2 or 3 reminders. That way, nobody would be surprised. So I tell you what, some people will be surprised. I guarantee you, I will get emails next week where people be like, Lunduke, I didn't know the price was going up. Can I get it? I'm not going to do rain checks. I'm not going to temporarily roll the price back. It's just, it is what it is. It's going up to the 300 price point and staying that way come tomorrow. No change to the monthly or yearly subscriptions on any platforms. Those are all just staying the same. I don't think those will change anytime soon. Those are pretty well locked in at exactly what they are. The lifetime just needed a little bit of a tweak. Needed to go up a little bit. Because the lifetime is for life, right? And you know, if you're going to be a nerd, you're going to be a nerd for life. And what I've found is Lunduke Journal subscribers stick around. Right. Once people become a subscriber to the Lunduke Journal, you know, the churn rate where people leave and whatnot, that doesn't happen with the Lunduke Journal very much, you know. And so it just makes more sense for the lifetime thing to be a little bit higher. And I'm looking at adding a couple of perks to the lifetime thing. That, you know, are just fun things like I follow you on X now and we're adding you to the end slide here. I've got a couple of people added so far, though. This is gonna get full. I'm gonna have to make this into 2 slides or something. But so it just makes sense for it to go up. So if you want a lifetime subscription, just do that, you know, now. If you want it, just do it today before midnight. Just go to lunduke.com and follow the thing. There's no like special code or anything because there's no sale. It's just the normal price, but it goes up $100 tomorrow. All right, let's do this OpenSUSE story. This is honestly this is one of those stories where it just is very telling. All right. Here we go. And again, at the very end of this, after we record this episode, stick around. We got more to do. I'm going to say end broadcast, but it won't be the end of the broadcast. Let me proofread this. OpenSUSE removes file system due to developer behavior. The OpenSUSE project says they will re-add Bcache support. Go up a little bit. Once the Bcache developer maintainer behaves. Here we go. Oh, I like that face. That's a good one. I'm going with that one. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Whatever frame I have at the very beginning, a whole lot of platforms like X will just use that frame by default as the thumbnail. I used to have it, so we started with black and a logo, but then that's all people saw was just black and a logo. So now I gotta make sure I make a cool face like, oh, that's a good one. Okay, I can only use one hand though, because I have to hit the button to start recording. The OpenSUSE project. The OpenSUSE project just had one of those mask slip moments. Those of you remember the Bcache FS drama, and the short version of that is this. There was a developer, and this developer was making a file system for Linux called Bcache FS. And that particular developer was a bit of an opinionated guy, right? He tended to mouth off about things, and he did not hold back. He did not have much of a filter on him. And he was on the Linux kernel mailing list, spouting off his ideas, just like a whole lot of other Linux kernel maintainers, including Linus Torvalds himself. Well, several times in a row, his mouthing off caused him to get his hands slapped, his wrist slapped rather hard by the ruler-touting penguin nuns over on the Linux kernel mailing list. He got suspended for a month one time, and then eventually Linus himself declared that his file system, despite it being in use by a whole bunch of people, Bcache FS, would no longer have a maintained status inside the Linux kernel, basically being somewhat removed from the Linux kernel. And the reasons appeared to be entirely his conduct, his behavior. Now, his behavior was not that he was hopping in there screaming obscenities or threatening everyone. In fact, his behavior was far more tame than Linus himself. And I talked quite a bit about how this was a very peculiar thing to be happening. And many people came to the defense of Linus Torvalds and the Linux Foundation and whatnot and said, no. This developer was not being banned because of his behavior. He was not being banned because of his attitudes. He was being banned because he didn't follow proper procedures. Sometimes he submitted patches too late in the cycle, and so he must be kicked out. That's why he was banned. And I said, yeah, that doesn't seem like what's happening. Well, the OpenSUSE project made a statement 8 days ago on September 10th entitled Bcache FS is being disabled in OpenSUSE kernels after version 6.17. Okay, so I checked it out. What exactly are they saying there? Well, quote, given Bcache FS is externally maintained now, we are disabling the file system too. Therefore, everyone using it should follow it upstream, blah, 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 blah. In short, they're getting rid of it because the Linux kernel got rid of it. But why? Further down the release, this announcement, quote, once the Bcache FS maintainer behaves and the code is maintained upstream again, we will re-enable. As in my opinion, it's a useful feature, end quote. That's right. Once the Bcache FS maintainer behaves himself, boom, they will allow his code to come back and the features to be re-implemented. What's crazy to me about this is the Linux Foundation, Linus Torvalds, Linux kernel maintainers, and now specifically OpenSUSE and multiple other Linux distribution maintainers choosing what features users can have access to, what file systems they can have access to, based on whether or not they like the behavior of the developer. What's really nuts about this is for years, a file system was in Linux kernel mainstream maintained, written by a convicted murderer. Yeah, they did. So apparently murder was not a bad enough behavior to remove features from a kernel. They eventually did remove features. They pulled that file system out just this last year. In fact, it was in there for years. But what's crazy is simply mouthing off, not quite as much as Linus, boom. No, if they don't like you, those features are out of the kernel. And even when people are actively using the file system, they're saying, we're yanking the file system support. It's not going to be in the kernel anymore. So don't update your kernel or you're screwed. And I want to reiterate something here, because this is really important. Many people have been pushing this strange, twisted narrative that this developer of Bcashfs was really kicked out because he was, not following. His name was Ken Overstreet, and because he was not following the rules of not pushing code changes late in the release cycle for any given version of the Linux kernel. So I want to read what I posted over on X because it was friggin' brilliant. Quote, some people have claimed that a motivating factor for banning the Bcashfs developer from the Linux kernel is that he has submitted code changes for consideration too late in the development cycle of a given Linux kernel version release. However, that does not quite pass the sniff test. If submitting code changes late in the cycle was cause for banning, nearly every significant Linux kernel developer would also need to be banned, including Linus himself, who has done it so many times. Many of the other developers being more regularly guilty of that than the Bcashfs developer. This simply cannot be the true motivation for that change, for that banning. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that they had a mask slip moment where they admitted publicly that, yeah, this is really about behavior. This is not about features. This is not about development process. This is not about following rules. This is about them not liking someone's behavior. And it doesn't even seem to really be about politics. It seems to be about personally whether they like him or not. That to me is insane. That is insane. And the Linux kernel, the Linux Foundation, OpenSUSE, and other distributions dislike someone's behavior, someone's choice of wording so much that they're willing to hurt users, to hurt their users, just to punish that guy. That's stupid. That's just stupid. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for making this sort of coverage possible. Go to lunduke.com and click on all of those links. You love those links. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds, nerdettes alike, especially the nerdettes, across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast. Don't leave. We're not done yet. I'm not done with you. We're still going, baby. I could use a drink, but I don't have one, so it's fine. All right. We did it. We got two in the can here. Now, let's talk about the violent extremism one. I'm not sure about the KDE drama one yet. And the reason is that story is changing. Here, let me pull up the violent extremism one, and we'll talk about this. But that KDE story, more is happening with that. And it was just kind of weird drama, and it's still just weird drama, but there's more to it. So we might not cover that one today, but we got some other ones. Oh, did you guys see this? I'm not doing a story about this right now, but did you guys see? Check this out. This guy right here, this guy is an advisor to the White House for artificial intelligence, and he's installing Omarchi Linux that DHH is working on. And I thought that was cool. And I also noticed that that he's also following the Lunduke Journal. So that's fun. Hold on. All right. Let's see. Let's pull this up here. No. Hey, look at this guy. This guy says, I found the Lunduke Journal to be too sensational for my taste. I agreed. The Lunduke Journal is pretty darn sensational. Perhaps radical. Tubular. Most outstanding. Omarchi 3.0 is out. They just had 2.0. DHH, slow down. Too fast, man. Too fast. You got to slow it down a little bit. Just call 3.0, release 3.1, because that's always a good one to just settle on for a while. And just let it sit for a while, dude. I'm liking what you're doing, but don't go too fast. All right, let's keep going here. Did you guys see this? Again, this is not a story I'm covering just yet, though if this happens, I will be covering it. Representative James Comer says, quote, I'm calling on the CEOs of Discord, Steam, Twitch, and Reddit to testify at an oversight committee hearing on October 8th. How awesome would that be? That could get really weird and interesting. Yeah. Oh, there's the EFF talking about abortions again, because that's weird. I'm just scrolling through my X posts. If you don't follow the Lunduke Journal on X, I recommend it. It really is. It's not the best place to get all the shows and everything like that, though I do post every show over to X as well for free for everyone. But it is a really nice place if you want to just kind of get an almost like stream of consciousness of Lunduke Journal stuff. It's kind of nice in that regard. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, blank over on YouTube says, breaking news, Lunduke trying to stop DHH's development. I love it. Yeah, let's get DHH commenting on that. Any comment on Lunduke demanding you cease development of Omarchi immediately? All right, where are we at here? Oh, did you guys see? All right, let me see if I can show you guys this here. No, that's not it. That's not it either. Come on. Oh yeah, here we go. People were very mad at me talking about Rust developed GNU core util alternatives. So much so that some people are saying, can we fundraise some money to assassinate Lunduke? Yeah, they're fun. Those are fun people. Those are just such fun people. They're the best. Where is this? Come on. I had a whole thing about this. Nope, that's not it. That's the Internet Archive thing. See, there's some of the KDE drama, but we're moving right past that. The executive, do you guys see? So the executive director of GNOME resigned. And then a couple days later, the executive director of the Open Source Initiative announced that he was resigning too. What is going on with the open source organizations? Their executive directors are dropping like flies, man. But we're not talking about it just yet. No, that's that. Jeez. How much news? I'm telling you, if you want just like a constant flood of news, there's the bot farms news. That's interesting, but no. Not as interesting as the other thing. Hold on. We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna find it. Here we go. Tech conferences. Yeah, this will work. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this. How did I phrase this over here on the screen? Violent extremism of tech conferences. Yeah, we need to talk about this. This needs to be chit-chatted about. I'm gonna click on stuff. And then, yeah, I'm gonna open this. Here we go. I'm clicking on things. Oh, I'm clicking on things. Okie dokie. Here we go, dudes. I'm clicking on things. All right, I'm going to bring up another one here. One more. I need to bring up one more page real quick. Let's see if I can find it. There we are. Is that it? Nope, that's apparently not it. Um, yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Okay. I'm clicking on things. Okay. All right, here we go. This is a not terribly fun topic. Lunduke teaches typing so much better than Mavis Beacon. I can't, right? My my kids do use the DOS version of Mavis Beacon teaches typing though. Yeah. In beautiful like CGA graphics. It's awesome. It's awesome. We in order to do the lessons, like the long typing dictations or transcription lessons, I had to go find the original manual online and print it all out. So we have the original manual from Mavis Beacon printed out, and then they use the DOS version, and we got a laptop set up, and that's where they learn all the all their typing skills, just like I did. It's fantastic. I figure I learned on Mavis Beacon, and I came out perfect. So I'll do the same thing for my kids. All right. Yes, the violent extremism of tech conferences. Tech conferences, big and small, have been heavily promoting leftist extremism, often including encouraging violence. That'll work. That'll work. All right. All right, you guys ready for this? It's going to get nuts. Oh, do you guys hear that? That was a good neck pop. Here we go. The other day, Andreas Kling, the legend behind the Serenity OS and the Ladybird web browser, made a post regarding some of the kind of the political and somewhat violent and vulgar rhetoric that happens at tech conferences, at open source and otherwise tech conferences. And, that kind of just brought up a lot of memories about how much violent extremism and encouraging of violence that we've seen at these open source Linux and other types of tech conferences over the last several years. So I want to talk to you some about all of that. First, I want to read you this post from Andreas because it was a good one. My apologies. There's a couple of naughty words on here because Andreas is quoting people, and he doesn't censor himself quite as much as I do. All right, quote. In recent years, Andreas says, I've attended multiple software conference talks that had unrelated extreme political rhetoric in slides, such as beep this person and punch this group. Whenever this happened, some of the audience would clap and cheer, and I'd roll my eyes, and the talk would get back on topic. Fast forward to today and look at how many people in our industry are openly celebrating the murder of someone they decided was a Nazi and a fascist. It turns out these people were more serious than I thought. As someone who's repeatedly been called a Nazi and a fascist myself for disagreements with far left ideology, I know how easily those labels get thrown around. And honestly, this is making me seriously reconsider which conferences I attend. There's a hateful rot within our industry. It should not be socially acceptable to cheer for murder. We need to do more than roll our eyes. And beautifully put, Andreas. And so I responded to that, and I want to read what I responded with, and then I have some other things I want to say as well. This is me posting over on X. At this point, I don't speak at or even attend tech conferences. Too many death threats encouraged by conference speakers. It's just not worth the risk. In fact, there have been instances where conference organizers themselves were involved in threatening me personally with violence if I attend. Looking at you, Seagull. The CGL conference is a free and open source software conference in Seattle, Washington. And one year they heard I was going to attend, and they threatened basically to hire people to hurt me and then remove me from the conference if I show up. Because they disagreed with my politics. That's all. I wasn't even scheduled to speak there. I was just going to show up to support a friend. Jerks. I continue. This has been going on for years. I recall a 2018 keynote at an O'Reilly Media OzCon event where Scott Hanselman, a vice president at Microsoft and one of the conference organizers, I believe he was a co-chair that year, encouraged attendees to be, quote, willing to commit crimes against white men. That people should be willing to go to jail. A direct quote, willing to go to jail. He even had a slide encouraging people to become accomplices. And I actually have a picture of that here. That little head you see over on the left side, that's Scott Hanselman. And then you see his slide up there. And it says, to create an inclusive tech environment, we need accomplices more than allies. And then he was talking about how we need to be willing to go to jail and commit crimes against white men and white straight men in particular in order to have a good world. You needed to attack. The insinuation was murder, but he didn't say murder. He just said commit crimes against white men and be willing to go to jail for life because of those crimes against white men. And I don't know what jail you go to for life for anything other than lots of murder, right? So I assume he was talking about murder. Now, when I raised an objection to calling for encouraging violence, that Microsoft executive pulled up a picture of me on his phone and spent multiple days showing people at the conference what I looked like. To be on the lookout for me and that I was dangerous. He literally pulled up on his phone a picture of me. He wandered the convention hall, the expo floor, going to conferences. He went to the press room. I heard about this from probably a dozen people. He did this over the course of several days. And he's like, look, be on the lookout for this man. This is Lunduke, and he's very dangerous. Don't listen to anything he says, and he's dangerous. Excuse me. He was very adamant, and he was trying to whip people up into a frenzy, assumedly to attack me. Now, this all, again, came on the heels of him making a presentation to encourage people to commit crimes and become accomplices in the committing of crimes against people who are the wrong kind of people. White straight men like me, conservatives like me, etc. And when I complained to conference organizers that he was trying to encourage violence, he then went around the whole conference and attempted to encourage people to commit violent acts against me. I mean, all in context, it was very clear his goal was attack Lunduke physically. Now, every single person organizing that conference and all of the sub-conferences that were occurring at the same time supported his actions and his calls for violence. Every single one. And some of them were people that I had a pretty high opinion of going into those moments. But they heard about it and they're like, no, it's fine. I'm sure Scott Hanselman is being nice when he's calling for people to murder white guys. That's fine. Microsoft rewarded him with a promotion. He's currently a vice president over at Microsoft over their open source organization. And it's amazing how many events like this occur and how much violence goes on relating to this. Many in the past, I've been scheduled to go to various conferences. And when the schedules get released and they're like, okay, Lunduke's going to be keynoting at this conference, inevitably there would be protests, right? There would be a boycott formed and whatnot. And almost every time, the threats turned violent. Prominent individuals within the world of open source would send emails where they would threaten physical violence if I were to show up and be in an event. So some events just say, okay, we can't have Lunduke. Some events are brave and are like, we'll put Lunduke in it anyway. Other events have canceled completely. I've literally had events where I made proposals to them where they were going to hold an event. There was going to be an Ubuntu event in Texas like 2 years ago. And I made a proposal to them. I'm like, hey, you know what? What if I, dust off a couple of my Linux history speeches that I give and whatnot and come there? Just the act of me proposing those speeches caused the event to almost completely disintegrate and just fall apart entirely. They ended up canceling almost all the days. They canceled almost everything and just folded because so much infighting occurred internally just because I proposed going to the event, and they were worried that I would show up. This last March, the Futo developers, FUTO, invited me to an event at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And they wanted me to come speak. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. I could, I'll drive on over there. Only take me a big long day drive, and I'll get to Austin, Texas, and we'll come hang out, and I'll give a speech. And so they put me on the schedule. Here, I think I've got a picture of it right here. They've got a picture of me. It was the Futo Don't Be Evil Rebel Tech Summit, and they've got a little picture, little picture of me with my stupid grin, looking at the camera. I was gonna speak there, and people caught word of that, and so I started getting threatening emails. Not a little threatening, a lot threatening. To the point where people went to the building where this event was going to be taking place, took pictures of it, showed me how they knew where the windows were. They knew where the line of sights would probably be. They knew the exact times I would be there. And they made it very clear that they were going to kill me if I showed up. This specific place, this specific time, watch your back, Lunduke. We're going to get you, Lunduke, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They called me fascist. They specifically attacked me for being both conservative and for being Jewish. We contacted the police. The Futo organizers hired a bunch of security to try and protect people. But ultimately, it was decided that, if I went, I would be putting other people in danger, not just myself, right? If I'm publicly just not going to be there, then there's less reason for a shooter to go to that event. And so I pulled out. I'm like I can't be responsible for someone else getting hurt. And realistically, I wasn't even giving some crazy amazing speech. It was going to be a fun speech about what was it? It was like the taking back of open source as a phrase, and it was a fun speech. It was going to be an hour of me ranting and raving, which is always a good time, and I love hanging out with like-minded nerds, and I love getting heckled by the nerds. I love live speaking, but it wasn't worth risking my life, and it really wasn't worth risking anyone else's life for me to go there. And this is just an ongoing thing. This stuff is happening constantly. It's been happening for years, and a lot of people wrote it off. Like what Andreas was saying, a lot of people just rolled their eyes and said, "Oh yeah, whatever. They're just talking. They're just talking up a big game, and they're pandering with their F this group and punch a Nazi and blah 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 blah." Yay! I have pink shaved hair. I love this punch a Nazi thing. But it turns out it was real. A lot of these people really do believe that, yeah, you should murder people who are Nazis. I'm using air quotes here, and fascists. And who are Nazis and fascists? Well, I am. Andreas Kling is. According to these people, we're both me and Andreas and so many others are Nazis and fascists. Does it matter that I'm not a Nazi and a fascist? No. Does it matter that I'm that I'm a Jew whose family was impacted by Nazis? No, it does not matter to these people. I'm not of the same political ideology as to them. Therefore, I must be physically assaulted. I must be banned. I must be attacked. I must be disparaged. I must be murdered. That's what it is like at tech conferences now. So I don't go right now. I've made a decision. I just won't go for a while. And I'd love to at one point, if some semblance of sanity, it's a lot of alliteration, it gets restored and tech conferences can be attended once again, I'd love to go. But even tech conferences where the organizers and attendees are all politically aligned with me, it becomes still not safe. Like with the excuse me, like with the Fudo conference. The organizers liked what I was doing. We were getting along. It was great. It's people out there in the world seeing that it's happening who weren't even planning to attend, who are like, great, a chance to not only kill this random political tech figure, this random conservative guy, but at the same time get on the news and get cheered on by more blue-haired people. I mean, I can't do that. I can't put my family through that. I can't put others in danger like that. I just can't do it. So there's no way to go to a tech conference, conservative or otherwise. It can be literally a conference called Nothing But Conservative Nerds, right? But unless the security is phenomenal. I mean, like background checks on every attendee, metal detectors at every door, absolutely no windows available, armored transport to and from the venue. Like, unless we go crazy on the security, like stupid crazy, but it's not worth it. And the people that have been encouraging it are, in large part, the organizers. For most of these conferences, the tech executives, the founders of open source projects. I mean, the GNOME Foundation has been pushing these extreme violent rhetoric for quite some time now. Multiple Linux distributions push this sort of crazy, let's kill people propaganda constantly. Organizers of conferences, from OzCon to the big OzCons and the big events to just these little tiny events, they push it as well. And like Andreas pointed out, it's very rare that you could go to, over the last several years, more than 2 or 3 tech conference presentations and not have at least a handful of slides pop up where they're like, F this guy and punch Nazis and yeah. And then all the people with the shaved side of their heads, but the blue on the top that go by they, them, their, zim pronouns, which you see in that picture. They lose, they go, yay! Because they're true believers. They believe that people like me, like you probably, should die. And we saw that, and now with the murder of Charlie Kirk, I think people are really starting to take it seriously. It's incredibly sad that something that devastatingly awful had to happen before a lot of people really started taking this seriously. But at least people are taking it seriously now. This is an important topic to discuss. It truly is. But for now, it's going to have to be discussed behind the camera. It's not safe for me to be at a public event. It's not safe for a lot of conservative speakers to be at a public event right now, especially those who are a little more lightning roddy within their industry. You can't do it. It's just not safe. And I think this needs to be very clear because I think for a lot of people, what I'm about to say goes without saying. It's obvious, but other people will try and parrot the idea that there are problems on both sides, but there's not. There's absolutely not. I have not heard of a single instance, not one, where right-leaning conservative conference organizers are specifically advocating for committing crimes against people who vote for Democrats, or who are black, or who are lesbians, or who are women, or whoever, or trans people. That doesn't happen. You may hear conservative people disagree with people, but I have never been to a conference where I've seen the organizers or the keynote speakers ranting and raving with slides about F these leftists and whatnot. That doesn't happen. The violence is all on one side, all of it, not most, all, every drop of it. When it comes to tech conferences, there's only one group advocating for the violence, and it's all those who are clustered together on the leftist extremists. That's it, and that's all. So this is not a both sides sort of issue. This is not a, oh, why are both sides politicizing thing? Both sides are not. You'll notice if it were not for, I'm not here doing shows about how I disagree with leftist politics. Notice that I'm doing shows about how I'm concerned and scared because the extreme leftists are advocating for murder. And that's what I'm objecting to. The Lunduke Journal is not here to tell people how to vote. I'm not here to tell people to be a Democrat or Republican or a Green or a Libertarian I don't care. I don't care. Not my job, not my expertise. But when these leftists, when these tech organizations, these tech foundations, these big tech companies are regularly not just injecting politics, but threatening safety of people if they don't agree wholeheartedly lockstep with those leftist politics, now they've got a real problem. Now they made Lunduke mad. Now they've made it so we have to talk about this. So I'm not here injecting politics into anything. I'm simply responding to extreme violence and rhetoric and advocating for violence coming from one particular group. It needs to stop. And if all of the people, I mean, every single one of them who's ever said anything like F the Nazis, and I'm not talking about real Nazis here. If you don't like Nazis, fine. But I'm talking about, punch a Nazi, F fascist, the people with the blue hairs and the pronouns and whatnot. If they all just need to be fired from all their jobs and blacklisted from the industry, fine. Because what they're doing is awful. They're destroying the entire tech industry. They're destroying the society around tech industry. And they're harming the technical quality and engineering quality of everything related to computing along with it. They need to be out. They need to stop right now. And I find it absolutely appalling, the people who don't speak up about this. The people who have been to the conferences and seen exactly what I'm talking about and just let it happen, I find that disgusting. And a lot of people who I've talked with about this in private, and I'm looking into the camera right now, I'm talking exactly about you. Yeah. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for allowing us to do this sort of coverage. Because you notice this topic does not get covered on ZDNet or The Register or or Ars Technica or Tom's Hardware or Gizmodo or any tech news outlet, because they are all some level of leftist. And if they were to talk about this topic, their sponsors would pull and their readers would start lighting them on fire because they advocate for violence. That's what they do. So because of you, because of the supporters of the Lunduke Journal, and go to lunduke.com for ways to support, because of you, not only do we get to stay ad-free and big tech free and free of influence around any topic by all these tech organizations and foundations, we can actually cover these topics. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's all thanks to all of you. All of you did this. You are awesome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast. But not really. Oh, we had to talk about that, you know? We had to talk about that. Daddy President says, stop looking at me like that, Lunduke. Lol. Holy heavens, look at all these comments. I don't even know where to begin. That's so many comments. It's over, sort of. Feel free to ask me any questions you like. I'll pull some things up here. I think that's all the shows that we're going to do. We're just going to do those 4. We'll have to get to the KDE one, tomorrow or the next day. Maybe sometime this weekend. I'm loading some stuff. Loading over here and other stuff. But this page is not loading as fast as I want it. But I'll wait. Oh, there we go. Page is loading up. I'm trying to load my email right now. Here we go. Good. Okay, that works. Oh, crud. You know what we forgot to do, guys? Oh, you're kidding me. I forgot to do the slide with the lifetimers. I put together the, oh my gosh. You tool, Lunduke. You tool. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I did that. Oh, my apologies. Oh, man. So I'm putting together this slide, and I'm only, I haven't even gone through all of them yet because I've been getting a lot of emails for people who want to be part of this and be on the lifetimer list. So if you want to be on this, I can't believe I forgot that. I got to write a note to myself. I created a little... yeah. Okay, Greg, that's a good idea. I'm just going to append it to the published video somewhere. Oh my gosh. Oh, can you believe that I forgot to do that? Tool. Yeah, I'll just append that in there later. But anyway, if you guys want to be part of the lifetime thing for the cheaper, go to lunduke.com. I'll remember it the next time. I'll actually get it right. I was getting into a groove, and I was all caught up in all these other topics we were talking about, and I was in my groove. Okay. All right. So what I would like, if you have any questions, feel free to toss them over at me. Those are the shows that we're going to do today. We'll carry over the KDE Chaos one probably for a couple of days because there's been some new stuff coming in with that, and it's just weird. It's just weird random drama. And every time there's something else comes out, it just gets a little bit weirder, but it's not like earth-shattering weird. It's just weird. It's weird and amusing. Yeah. So I saw a couple of people earlier on mention this. Yes, this is a cool retro term. I go back and forth over which style and look I like for cool retro term. But for this show, I think I've just kind of settled on this one. I like it. It's that nice green with the scan line and everything. It's nice. That one, it makes me smile. It makes me smile quite a lot. Greg asks, do you record from different rooms in the house? The backgrounds are different colors frequently. Yeah. Yeah, I record not just from different rooms in the house, but different locations, depending on what else I'm doing. Like today, for example, I'm not home. Today, I am at my local public library because my daughter is doing. So, for those of you who don't know, my kids homeschool, and we homeschool my kids. And my oldest, my daughter, she's working on a research project where she needed to go spend a couple hours in the library today. And I'm like, well, I'll drive you on up to the library. Why don't I just record from the library while I'm there? They have nice little meeting rooms that I can use, and I just pile myself into a meeting room with all my equipment and can record in the library. Most of the time I record at home, but the way things are set up, it's real easy for me to record pretty much everywhere. I use my laptops. And I use my microphone. I use is a Blue Yeti. It works really really nice. And yeah, homeschooling based. Yeah, homeschooling has been such a blessing for us. We started homeschooling as a combination of a response to both the COVID lockdowns and the Antifa riots, the BLM riots and such. And so because of that, so Antifa, Rose City Antifa, and the Portland chapter of the Urban League, they laid siege to the area right next to my oldest kid's school. And this was, years back. I mean, they laid siege to it, they literally had barricades set up. They brought in and tipped over actually porta potties. The whole area stunk really bad. They lit things on fire. They had literal dumpster fires going for weeks straight. And it was chaos. And so we had to stop. My kid went to a private school, a really nice little private school in downtown Portland, Oregon, and it was awful. The school was great, but it became awful, and so we started homeschooling at that point, and then because we had to, and then when we decided we didn't want to live in Oregon anymore, we hit the road and we road schooled. We traveled around going to the Grand Canyon and the Muir Woods and Yellowstone, all the different big national parks and petrified forests, and we homeschooled from the road for quite some time while we looked for where we wanted to finally live. And it just went so well, and the results were so good that we've just kept doing it. So now, yeah, all three of my kids are homeschooled. My wife does most of the work with that, and just does a phenomenal job. I married smarter than me. I was smart enough I married a woman who she graduated summa cum laude from her college, and she's a computer programmer and a concert pianist, and she's just here's me and here's my wife, right? When it comes to just smarts and school smarts, especially. And so she handles the most of the homeschooling for my kids, but I do a lot of the driving around. I'm the chauffeur. I'm very good at chauffeur. I have chauffeur level intellect, and so like today, my daughter's at the library and she's working on stuff, and I can just work in the library here. But yeah, it's great. I can work remotely from wherever because it was on the road so long. I learned to do most of my work remotely, and that's just kind of how it stayed. So even though I'm in one spot now, I can remove, I can do whatever. Any room of the house is fine. Takes me all of 10, 15 minutes, and I can move around into a different room. I can go down to the library and get a room. I can do whatever I want. It's phenomenal. And the microphone I use, the little Blue Yeti, has a great sound to it. It works really good. Breaking news: Lunduke is married up. I've been married a long time. So I met my wife in the 90s. We will be celebrating our 30th anniversary of when we started dating this year. So, I mean, we've been together a long time. Yeah. Um, that's just how I am. Yeah. Homeschoolers turn out weird. I was homeschooled, maybe weird, but I tell you what, and if if what is happening in public schools nowadays is normal, I would much rather have my kids be weird. I'll tell you what, we go to our congregation. We go to temple every week. In fact, this next week we'll be at temple, a dozen times because it's the high holidays are hitting, and we have all these different after school activities and everything else going on, and it works out really nicely. And in the end, we have just a great well-rounded kids. Jay Penguins asked, does my wife have a sister? No, she does not. She has a couple of brothers, and you can have them. Seth, thank you. Lunduke is the best. Good live stream. Appreciate it. Amplify the signal. You aren't wrong about the school system. Man, ain't that the truth? I mean, there's some good teachers out there. And truth be told, there still are some great schools out there, but there's so many problems. I just stay away from it all. Homeschooling just keeps it, nice and safe. Keeps the kids away from the weirdness. I can control that sort of thing, and I can allow my kids to really excel at the stuff that they're much faster than what the school systems are doing. Let's see. Whew. Yeah, Portland was weird, man. Portland was great. Portland, Oregon it's a shame what happened to Portland, Oregon. It really is. I mean, it was always a funky place with its pluses and minuses, but it had enough pluses that it went downhill though. Bez Kale Jew, I'm sorry I'm saying your name wrong. For sure I'm pronouncing this wrong. Asks, is your wife a universal teacher, or do you hire some private tutors as well for specific fields? For the most part, my wife handles most of it because, again, my wife can. I think if I were handling all of the teaching, I think I probably would hire a little bit more of it done. But my wife can, and so she does. Like if we need to do music, my wife can do music. She plays like 4 or 5 instruments. She plays piano and accordion and French horn and all these different things. So she can handle such a wide variety of tasks. And anything she isn't 100% comfortable with, she can usually pass off to me. Things like some of the more advanced math and whatnot I can handle, and then pass the kids back to my wife for all the rest of it. And my kids do enough other activities, and then we have personal training and lesson time for some religious stuff and whatnot. But we generally handle most of that, including some of the language stuff. We have in the past hired some outside tutors because my daughter is multilingual. She speaks English and French fluently, and then is currently learning Hebrew and Latin and a few other things. But she started so young that she's able to pick up a lot on her own, just with books and various pieces of software to help her out along the way, and a lot of the training, and then that takes care of most of it. And with Hebrew, we're at temple, once or more per week to work on a lot of that. So we usually can get by with just my wife being the primary teacher, the universal teacher. It works really nicely. Hello, Lunduke. I saw on GitHub the other day that an application for Windows Notepad 3 has a code of conduct placeholder that explains why there is none and why the creator does not want politics in his software. Would you like to take a quick look at it as a better alternative to Windows Notepad? And would you consider adding it to your non-woke software list? Send it along. Email me. Go to lunduke.com and send me the emails. That's the way it works. Send it in and I'll take a look at it. We will at the end of this month be putting out a new updated list of non-woke software that is a little bit bigger than the last month. But hey, if you got more to add, toss it on in. I take a look at everything. It sometimes takes me a couple of weeks before I get around to trying it and testing it and looking into it really in depth before I feel comfortable adding it to the list. But I'll take a look at it. All right. The word normal is ableist. Sure is. And I'm an able kind of guy. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. And thank you for all the supporters. Oh, Black Bull actually asked a pretty good question. Linux sucks 2025 soon? I don't know. So Linux sucks 2025 was originally going to be a live thing. Back before I decided no live shows. A live thing meaning at an in-person event. And it was kind of designed to be a live thing. It can be modified to be not an in-person event, but I haven't yet decided if I'm going to do that yet or not. So stay tuned on that. I don't know. It's entirely possible this year might not have one. If it ends up that I can figure out how to do it in such a way where I think it's important, worthwhile, and most importantly, a lot of fun to do, there will be a Linux Sucks before the end of the year. But if not, we'll find out. We'll see how that goes. Come on, don't do Linux Sucks. We need more peeps. Don't scare off people. Smiley. Here's the thing. It's amazing how many people start using Linux because of seeing a Linux Sucks show. It's a lot. It's a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's see, how many people did we have join us this this time? In total, across all 4 platforms, 1,771 of you joined in today. Fantastic. I'm enjoying streaming out to so many all at once. I wish we could integrate the live chat for X into Rumble Studio, and that would be really cool. But the fact that I can see the chats from Rumble, YouTube, and Locals all in the same feed for me is just absolutely phenomenal. I truly love it. Once again, there'll be no more reminders about picking up the lifetime subscriptions before the price goes up at midnight tonight. So if you want one, grab one. And if not, it's okay. No big deal. If you already have one, you're awesome. You're the best. And that's all there is to that. Thank you. All of you. If anyone sees any weird stuff, and I'm just going to remind everyone of this. If you see weird stuff, contact me. And I mean all across the tech industry, big tech, open source, all of it. If you see something weird going down, screenshot it and contact me. Screenshots are the way. I hear from a lot of people who see something weird and they contact me, and I'm like, well, that is really weird. That's a crazy thing that just happened. Where's that at? And I'll go check it out, and it was already removed. It was already deleted, or it was already censored. I'm like, oh shoot, did you get a screenshot? No, I didn't get a screenshot. Get a screenshot. As soon as you see something weird, first instinct, screenshot. Then contact me and provide the screenshot. That's the way to go. All right, everybody, that's it. We're gonna head on out into the sunset. Some of these shows will be popping up later on today, and again, I really appreciate everyone's support and everyone just being fantastic to hang out with. And with that, for real this time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the internet.